Welcome to the greatest place in the world, my doghouse. Hope you're all having a great day. Is this a question I'm going to put out there? Is the fact that is the insurrection needed in Minnesota, Minneapolis area? As bad as I hate to say it, and as bad as I hate to see it happen, I do think it's become very necessary. This isn't a left or right view. This is the actual what is happening. Because when Insurrection Act is installed, and if it is, everybody left and right and neutral will be there. Now I know some people think he don't have no right to. Yes, he does. And he can get away with a little more. I shouldn't say him, but the military or whoever he sends in the fact that an insurrection act, you're not taking over local police. You're giving the authority to either parts of the military, whether it be the National Guard being nationalized, or the current military. Either one can be imposed on this, and when they are there, they will have the arresting authority, every one of them. Now, the way it is now, if like the National Guard goes in, they can't really arrest. But insurrection, they can. And supposedly it's made to assist the locals and stuff like that. But in Minnesota, that's not going to happen. So, yeah, as bad as I hate to see it, I can see why it needs to be done. Now, why is this really happening? Is it ICE or is there more to it? Because ICE has gone to most other cities. There's a few that's been bad, and they do their job and they're gone. Why would, in this case, Minneapolis want to fight like that? They are being encouraged. That's like if you went out there, I'm willing to bet there's paid protesters and just generic protesters and followers. And what I mean by followers is they haven't got a clue to what's going on, but they're out there and want to be part of it. And this does happen. The generic is they're just going out and get whoever and convince them. See, when you have paid protesters, you don't need a whole lot. You want to get away with as few as you can, but let them lead and spread their BS with everybody. So when you hear people say, "Yeah, there's no paid protesters," yes, there are. Look at some of them signs. Are there generic and local? Oh yeah, there's them too. Look at their signs. So it's a combination you get at a protest is all them. And don't believe me, there have already been a few of them called out going to different protests. They're not doing this out of their heart. They're doing it out of greed. Now let's look at some of the things that Waltz has said, the mayor has said. They're trying to deflect. They really are. Because all the money that's being funneled through the Somalis in different areas, you have to look, as hard as they are hollering, even the AG there, sounds like a little bit of they got their hands in other people's pockets. Maybe they don't, but it sure looks like it. And the way they are acting makes it that way. Waltz is hollering too much. The mayor may or may not know or have anything to do with what's going on, but he knows what's going on, and he knows where his votes come from to get reelected. So when you're seeing this riots, I call them riots, they're no longer peaceful. There's a reason for that. And they're using useful idiots to pull it off. Because I guarantee you there's a bunch of people out there that are local, really believe what's going on, and they're going out there and doing what they're doing. Thanks to the few that are paid. See, this thing that everybody thinks you need a whole lot to be paid for. What would you do that if you could get a group go in that's you're paying? Why would you want everybody to do that? Now, getting back to the Somali thing, let's just take a logical look at it. Now, as much as they are hollering, and the mayor's hollering, there's something to that. Now, the mayor may or may not be involved, like I said, but he knows where his money's coming from. So, in that sense, he's still involved. The chief of police, he's kind of in a rock and a hard spot, really, but he's still supposed to be doing his job. Now, when you listen to Waltz and this mayor, they're not right out saying they want uprising, but they sure are indicating it by not saying it. These people are after one thing, well, more than one thing. But let's go back to the Somalis again. And there's others, just not the Somalian people. That's just what's prevalent in Minnesota. Because it'll go across races and everything else. Every race out there is doing this. It's just so concentrated in Minnesota, you're getting people trying to deflect from the real issue. Moving in the insurrection will help this, and it will make others that are out there concentrate on the money end of it while controlling the other. And like I said, I don't like to deal with insurrection. I hope it never would happen, but I can see why and why it probably needs to happen now. If I remember right, I haven't really looked. I think Bush was the last one over to call for an insurrection in a city. But, there's been a whole bunch of others. And the thing with that, the courts may try to stop it, but they can't. That's the responsibility of a president. And a lot of people don't realize this. Today, when he put out that saying about if they didn't quit, he would call the insurrection. By law, he has to put out something like that before he even does the other. He just can't wake up in the morning, and I don't care what president it is, they can't wake up in the morning and says, today is insurrection day. This place needs insurrection. It don't work that way. He does have the authority to do it, and to me, he's probably going to do it. This has to stop. Innocent people are getting hurt. And don't give me this crap, the ICE is doing things illegally. They are not. If you're here illegally, that means you're illegal. And ICE is doing the right thing. You know what's really causing a lot of this? If these sanctuary cities did not exist, this wouldn't be happening. Because they are covering up bad people, criminals, but they do not care. And Minnesota's going to be a lot of Somalians. There'll be other races of people also involved. Trinidad, which is all over. But these people, the only way you're going to stop them is with the insurrection, unfortunately. Because, first of all, let's say Waltz and the mayor and the chief of police are out there saying, keep within the law, do this, do this. They're not going to do that. And these guys know damn well they're not going to do that. So these people are actually forcing the hand of the federal government. Personally, I like less federal government in state activities, but at some point it is needed federal. And this is one case the federal needs to move in. And it would help a whole lot. So is the insurrection needed? I do believe so, and unfortunately, because like I said earlier, and I mean it, I hate to see something like this. But what are you going to do? You have a person that stole property from a government vehicle, which is a felony of what they took. You had another one that thinks he's a great independent reporter showing documents that nobody should be seeing and thinking it's okay. This has got to stop, and the only way to do it is if he does an insurrection. Sadly enough, it's a bitter thing in my mouth to say that. But what are you going to do? Just let it go on? It's not like you got a whole bunch of people trying to overthrow the government, which would be wrong here too. But you see it all over. This is a different situation. These people that are here illegally means they're illegal. What ICE is doing is not illegal. What they're trying to convince you of, ICE is doing a legal deal, so it's illegal. That don't make a bit of sense at all. But that's what they're doing. And part of it, what is going on too, is the fault of the mainstream media news. And it really is. Take that one lady that's now in another world, having her car race backwards and going forwards, and not one person broadcast I've seen, and there could be, but I haven't seen it on mainstream news, where she is smiling while going forward towards the ICE agent. Yeah, that's out there. She's smiling. And logic tells you if you use a vehicle like she was doing, it's a way to take somebody out. That's illegal. You can have sympathy for her and everything else and for her family because they don't want her not here. I understand that. But you have to take responsibility for who you were. Like the riots last night, you better believe there's going to be criminal charges coming up with a whole bunch of people. And they're all going to say, oh, this shouldn't, well, you broke the law. You're going to pay for it. Isn't it funny when the saying, nobody's above the law? When one side says it like the left, nobody is above the law, then when the other side says nobody's above the law, the left always thinks they're excluded from it. Excuse me. But they do. They think they're excluded. No, I'm really if you want to get right down to it, I'm probably not left or right. Because when it comes to voting, I voted for independents to Democrats to Republicans. I'm 66 years old, and I'm one or two elections, probably at least two, that I haven't voted in since that time. So I'm not consistent, but I am consistent with the person. So when I say that the left and the right is just what I'm seeing from them. But to me, it's partly, not 100%, but partly is a deflection from the money laundering that's been going on in Minneapolis. Because if that thing breaks wide open, you're going to see a lot of politicians go down. On both sides, by the way. Just like the Venezuela deal. 5 or 6 Republicans took money from Maduro, knowing who he was. So, yeah, even in the case of the Somalias, you better believe they're refunneling it around. See, it don't matter whether you're left or right, there'll be people grabbing their hand out for the money. And anybody that thinks that's not happening there, take a good look. A matter of fact, if that's legitimate, they're doing a legitimate deal, I'm going to start a daycare and I'm going to have my 2 dogs and 2 cats, and I'm going to get several $1,000,000. Why not? At least they're physical there. They're not made up. That should be okay, you know. And the sad thing about it is, even the people on the left and some on the right, they think that money belongs to the government. They haven't got a clue, them out there protesting, that it is their money, not the government's money. They ain't got a clue, or they don't care. And this goes out to anybody out there. If you'd have to volunteer to do this, though, because I would never do this. Leave your door open and tell me there's $1,000 sitting on the table, and when I go get that $1,000 and put it in my own pocket and walk off, don't report me, because it's not your money. It's now my money because it's in my pocket. Think about that. And people, what's the difference? You know, what's going on here in Minnesota, it's got to stop. And the only way to stop it, it looks like, is insurrection. They would not need to do that if the governor and the mayor and the chief of police would get together. They could stop it. They 100% could stop it. They might have to use force, but they could get it stopped. But they do not want to. They think you people are so damn stupid out there that you won't know what's really going on. They have a whole bunch of useful idiots out on protesting, and they know a bunch of them will go beyond protesting. These are what you call useful idiots, and all 3 of them know it, and all 3 of them indirectly wants to see it. Because I think Waltz thinks it's a deflection. Maybe the mayor does too, I don't know. But the mayor is probably worried about losing money to get reelected. The AG's been involved. All this is, even though it needs stopped, and it needs stopped now, is a deflection from what is really going on. It's a deflection that needs to stop. Yeah, and this stuff's going on in every state. But here's my beef a lot of with this doing it. We have both left and right presidents that has turned a blind eye to it. Whether some of them were kept out of the loop and it's a secret, but it's been there. But seeing it's out in the open, they're having a hard time figuring out how to hide it again. And I don't think it can be hid again. So the people out there, eventually it's going to get caught for one way or another. And I don't care whether you're left or right. This Somali thing, if you're involved in it, you should go to jail. If you're out there protesting and causing violence, you should go to jail. I don't care how you vote. I don't care who you are. That's the way it should be. But what are you guys' opinion? Is it necessary? How far do you go before you call out the insurrection? All I'm saying is you need to realize what he put out was the first step. Now he can do the other. Is it going to be this weekend? Is it going to be today? Is it going to be next week or the week after? I'm sure he has a plan, which any president, I don't care left or right, should have on something like this. If it didn't change, we go in at this date. And like I said, I don't care left or right. This should be something you do. Insurrection shouldn't be the first option, and it hasn't been. So he gave fair warning out of what could happen. He was out there and done it. The whole world to see. Now are them people are still going on the street and do what they're doing? Like I said, last night's riots, some of them guys are going to be in prison. They may not think so, but they will be. And you got to ask yourself, what are some of these people out there doing? Especially, there was one with a camera that people really don't care for him because he's questionable on what he does. And he proved why some of these other people out there doing these stories question what he is doing. He gave them the proof why not to trust him. He is going to be in jail. You can't film documents. One, they was illegally obtained. Two, you're trying to dox. You're all doing things that's going to get you in prison. And I don't mean a jail cell, a prison. And because you want the insurrection so bad there, we're talking federal charges on a lot of this stuff, not state charges, which can ruin you. I've never personally even been to jail. Not even close to being locked up. But for whatever reason, that money, some of them like, it's the money. It isn't really reporting. It's getting clicks, views, famous, and money. Well, some of these people are going to be very famous sitting behind bars. Unfortunately, they're part of the problem. The news media is part of the problem. They don't want to show you what's really happening. Like the agent that got hit by 3 different people. They were after a illegal, not an undocumented, but an illegal. And then 2 people come out to help him out with shovels and was beating him. And he had to shoot the one in the leg. The other 2 were arrested. How stupid can you be? We have laws, and it is not ICE breaking the laws. It's these other people, and these other people are going to cause an insurrection to happen. I hope they can sleep well at night because they can pat themselves on the back that this is your fault.